Meet Dave of Delusions of Grandeur, actor, producer, and director of films like Tales of the Forgotten. He has come to assemble a team of freaks, geeks, and even worse, film nerds, to discuss films ranging from mainstream to downright crazy. There is Tammy car enthusiast and Dave's fiance, Dustin reptile expert and overall horror collector, Jake environmentalist and fine art film critic, and finally Brandon, a therapist with a love of film that can only be seen as insanity. Together under Dave's leadership, they are inside movies galore. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
To heal.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting film journey. I'm sure some of you are excited as I am to discuss the next movie in the NATO franchise, which now we've covered all of the Sharknadoes that are out there, but there were a slew of films that filmmakers, especially independent filmmakers, tend to make the decision to cash in on the movie that makes the bucks, to see if they can make a quick, should I say, quickie, with films to make sure that they cash in on the money cow or the choo-choo train that's going at that moment.
Well, should you say that?
And Clownado was one of those. And it has had a tagline as "It meets Sharknado."
Okay. Well, and we
at
should
the time.
We should probably clarify to be absolutely sure that the filmmakers behind the Sharknado franchise, and I guess if that was the marketing, then also Stephen King, that this has absolutely nothing to do with either one.
Correct.
Nothing at all.
Correct. But there was I saw somewhere online that it was at least the trailer with a few of those sites that was talking about it before it came out, that they thought it was it mixed with Sharknado, and then of course you get Clownado or whatnot. But that being said, Todd Sheets is an interesting character. I know he's been around for a long time. His extreme brand has been around since at least the early 90s. He's got a lot of stuff that he put on like 8mm or 16mm that he ended up putting out for the public to see. So he's got a lot of hit or misses, but I know at one point in time he had a serious heart attack, and then he came back from it, and that's when his career like really took off. Like, I know a lot. He's gotten a lot of his films to get distributed elsewhere by Unearthed Films for a while. So I think Clownado ended up being on Earth at one point in time, besides getting picked up from. Oh, and Clownado was funded by Indiegogo. So you can tell that there is a little bit of a budget going on here with because I think that the storms and the lightning looks a lot better than the last Sharknado stuff. But that being said, I wanted to say a little bit about the filmmaker. This is not just his one horse trick pony. He's got other films under his belt, and I'm not entirely sure this was one of his better ones. So, but it was a cash in. It had some names to it. I mean, you got Eileen Dietz, who she's been in some earlier films, and she's been a independent supporter. You got Linnea Quigley showing up real quick, and so on and so forth. But let's see what IMDb says about the film before we get into first impressions here. Sorry if I was rambling or whatnot, but I don't want to talk about spilt milk, but there was a moment where I was having difficulties getting a film of his at one point in time. It is old history, but I bought a film. It came broken, and it took me a whole year to get another copy from him. So it's old news, but it's under the rug. So let's go to IMDb. Where is that? Okay, and then read what they say. Okay, cursed demonic circus clowns set out on a vengeful massacre using tornadoes. A stripper, Elvis impersonator, truck driver, teen runaway, and a dude get get caught in the supernatural battle between Femme Fatale and the boss clown from hell.
I admit that is a fun description. More fun than the movie.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot better than the movie we watched.
Right.
Well, anyways, let's go around the room and get first impressions. Now, Tammy, I know that you watched the movie. What was your first impressions of it?
Let's see. I don't like clowns to begin with, but it was a little gorier than I thought it was gonna be, but I don't know. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't as fun as the Sharknado movies. I actually thought they were a lot more fun, and I don't know really what to say about it except for because I don't like clowns, and it really didn't do much for me. It was just kind of like, okay, I guess I was expecting a little bit more like what I got out of the Sharknado movies, and so
it was definitely a darker tone than the Sharknado movies. The Sharknado movies were fun, started out being fun, and pun intended, had a lot of innuendos, and
you did, and I always thought the Sharknado ones were fun because you had all the cameos in them. It was.
Yeah. In fairness, this one had a couple of cameos after a fashion, but
yeah, it has a couple of cameos in it. I mean, let's see. So is that pretty much your first impressions then?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm sorry, there really to me isn't that much to say about it.
All right. Heading over to you, Jake. What was your first impression of this movie? Was it a first time watch for you? Oh, Tammy, this was a first time watch for you too, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know you and I watched the Sharknado stuff, but I don't think we watched this.
I wasn't going to. I believe I watched it for a review because I ended up getting a copy of it from Wild Eye. Actually, I didn't get it from Wild Eye. I picked it up at Walmart.
Walmart.
Yeah, because
Walmart actually had this.
Wow.
yeah, Walmart was selling it
That's
for like $10.
That's insane.
Wild Eye went through Walmart to get a lot of their independent movies sold. So you would find them for $10-$12 or $12.99 or something like that. Probably more $9.99.
Wow. Yeah.
So, but in any case, Jake, this was a first time watch for you?
This was definitely a first time watch. I had never heard of this freaking movie before. And as far as first impressions, to quote Resident Aliens Harry Vanderspiegel, this is some bullshit. And I call bullshit on you saying that wasn't that gory. You said
that.
you thought the
reason why I say it's not that gory is because even the goriness in this movie, at least half of the gore in this, is laughable because it's edible. There, the one chick, she's eating the fucking jelly out of the fucking shit, and you can see that it's jelly.
I will admit that the little bits I watched of the gory scenes were not that disturbing. It's just, it does not interest me at all. And there were several parts of the film where I just wasn't watching.
In all fairness, I did warn you.
Well, you did, and IMDb warned me, and I was on the fence about whether I would watch this movie.
There is one moment that I totally forgot about that it was in here, where they literally were pulling this lady's legs apart at the seams, and that's the one that I remembered the most at the time that I watched this the first time. It's just I forgot how gory that one was.
Yes.
So.
It to go to a couple of Tammy's points, the film just isn't a film. I use the term loosely. The flick is nowhere near as fun as the Sharknado movies, no matter how bad and cheesy and dumb they get. They're generally fun. Even I think we all agreed the fifth movie might have been the weakest link in the bunch. But the fifth movie still had that ultimate rarest of rarities where I'm actually entertained by Chris Kattan. That rarely happens, but they did it in that movie. And there were a few moments, and yes, Fabio as the Pope was very entertaining. This one, I got a slight little thrill of recognizing Linnea Quigley, although I probably wouldn't have recognized her if I didn't look up the character name first. And I don't have the attachment you guys do to Joel Wynkoop, but I was on the lookout for him, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, this is a fun little bit. I enjoy this. And as I said before, the one dude's R2D2 shirt was great, and I want to find this shirt. But and I will give props where it's due. The guy that plays the main clown, John O'Hara, I think it is, he was chewing up the scenery like nobody's business, but he was actually kind of fun to watch. And I think if the whole movie had the energy that he had in that role. And if the whole movie was more leaning into the comedy and fun rather than the gore and the dark and twisted and whatever, or trying to shock you with mildly shocking things like a Black Elvis impersonator. That was a joke that was mildly funny, and they beat that horse much more than they needed to. You know,
Well, that actor was played by Antoine Steele, and
right.
Antoine Steele is one of Todd Sheets' like main go-to actors,
Yeah.
at least within the last 15 or so years.
Okay.
So he's had other roles that have been better,
Right.
but yeah,
See,
I
I
see
can't
exactly
speak.
what you're saying, though.
I can't speak to that. Like Quigley may be one of the only people I've actually seen in another movie. And I know we've covered a couple of hers on this channel. There were very few people that I would have recognized or had any comparison with. Overall, I made it through. I didn't, it wasn't something I had to turn off. Was it something that I really have any desire to ever bother watching again? Probably not. And yes, it's not the worst thing I think I've watched for this channel, but it's pretty close.
Oh.
Well, I kind of wish that I could have started with like a better film of his to get you guys into Todd Sheets, because he can be a good director. This, unfortunately, and I'll probably say it more, yeah, on my turn.
Yeah.
This was not a good movie. It was a cash grab at the most, and a good role for Joel. But other than that, sorry, I didn't want to take over your views or whatnot. But
yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
heading over to you, Brandon. Was this a first time watch for you?
Yeah, this was. No, I admit. Of course, I warned Jake because I usually know. I still get a good idea as to what kind of.
Yeah, you
things
screen the
usually
movies
would
before.
turn
You screen the movies first before him, so that you could tell him how bad it is.
unless I'm
Sometimes,
feeling,
yeah.
unless I'm feeling particularly cruel or something. There's still a part of me that's mad that we ended up getting subjected to Salo and that he was spared.
You got subjected to it twice, didn't you?
Well, Dave liked it, didn't you, Dave?
Well, I'm in the middle between liking it and hating it, because there's something repulsive about the circle of shit moment, and yet the ribald tales that were told by the older lady in the lounge area was mildly amusing to me.
Yeah, Salo is one of those that I think that Jake, the you of maybe 5 years ago would probably feel that you would need to see it because of the artistic importance of it and the fact it's a Criterion.
Yep.
But I think the you of now would not want to waste your time on it. So
Pretty much. It's one of the reasons I was on the fence here.
this one here, I mean, I got this from Joel Wynkoop when I was buying some stuff from him, kind of as a help out for one of his films I was trying to finance. And I really like Joel Wynkoop. He's an amazing actor, not just because he's willing to act in my next film I'm directing, but but because he's a good guy overall. I think most of everybody here has met him on the channel because he was on there for a couple of episodes.
I extensively interviewed him over a matter of 4 recordings. So
that was my reason for really getting this. And I thought the title was amusing. And then I saw the film. And when I saw the film, well, My thought process is summed up by this.
And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die. Please.
Yeah. It's not that entertaining, really. It's gory, but to tell you the truth, there are some gore scenes, and maybe this goes along with what Dave was going for. Most gore scenes in movies just kind of repulse me, and I don't like them. This one, they bored me. I felt like it was just dragged on, so I was more tuning out because I was bored every time they would do gore stuff in this. It's just, there's a lot here that could be good. You have some Bubba Hotep type qualities. You've got some weird stuff. You got the clown mafia. I mean, come on, the clown mafia. It should be fun if you're dealing with that stuff.
I almost wonder what the film would have done if it would have been done in black and white, because then it would have been kind of like noir.
You know, it would have been even more tedious and dull if they didn't fix some of the other issues.
But when I look at some of the stuff that this director has done, I do agree. High 8, High Death, and High Fear, he did segments in those, and those were all good. I really liked those. I liked Biker Babes from Beyond the Grave. Maybe I should say I'm ashamed for watching that one. Let's see here. I didn't watch Bimbos in Time, but that sounds interesting.
I've got some of his earlier stuff on, because a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of Todd Sheets stuff came out on the Pendulum sets, which was the line of distribution that Mill Creek at the time labeled under their independent horror films that they had picked up in a slew, and
I kind of like Dead Things. But yeah, I mean, I was just saying that the guy, I will defend the guy. He has done better work than this.
Yes.
But yeah, this one to me, it felt like I would have said it was a waste of my time if I hadn't dedicated myself to watching it regardless. So in a way, it was less of a waste of my time because I had a good excuse to watch it, which was for this discussion. So I don't think it was a waste of my time because I got to see Joel Wynkoop in a fun performance. And I think that if they had made that character one of the main characters in the movie, this film would have been much more entertaining all the way through. Because his larger-than-life zaniness would have come in handy on not letting me be bored.
Oh, I totally agree with you there. I wish that Hawk would have been like there right from the get-go, instead of that trucker or whatnot. And I don't know if they'd have switched around a few things, maybe. But anyways, is that pretty much your first impressions then?
Yeah. So just as a sum up, I don't hate it, but
no, sir, I don't like it.
Okay. Well, I have always been, at least with Todd Sheets, and I've watched quite a few of Todd Sheets' films now. I've watched a lot of his earlier short films. I still have yet to sit down and just binge the rest of them that I have not seen of his. But the first one I had ever seen of his was a movie called House of Forbidden Secrets. And that was the film that he did right after he had his major heart attack, and it was pretty good. It was better than this one. Let's just put it that way. And it was a hit at a lot of the film festivals at the time. That one came out. I think it came out in 2015, and then from there he was actually doing pretty good. This one was one of those hit or miss ones. Some people were saying they liked it. Some people didn't. Me, on the one hand, it's not even so bad. It's good film, but there are good things I like about it. I don't like the way that the main clown is like laughing. I kind of wish that he would have laughed like Richard Widmark back in those one of the noir films that I heard him cackling instead of the giggle that he had. And I wasn't getting it vibes at all, like the tagline initially said. What I was getting was more of a blood harvest vibe, which is a film that had Tiny Tim in, and he played a clown that kind of looked like this dude when he was all dressed up in clown makeup, except we know Tiny Tim to have an annoying falsetto voice, so he did not have that. I I I believe that my initial thoughts on this film when I first saw it at the time, I'd been seeing a lot of films at the time, and I liked it better at the time. Now I kind of like. I like I like the whole old school mafia crime vibe that I got from it. You know, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed little bits and pieces of the film. So I'm trying not to be a savior of this film, but it's hard to stand behind this this film in any sense of the word. I hate to say this, Todd, but I love you as a filmmaker. This one just wasn't good. But in any case, let's get into the plot line here. Actually, there's a couple. I believe there's two that they kind of follow. The main one is that there's a crime boss, and he has a wife, and the wife is apparently having an illicit relationship with someone else, and he finds out about it, the boss, and he makes her kill her dude, and then they go off on a crime spree, and it seems like they kind of have taken up the Wizard of Oz version of traveling to commit crimes, which is traveling through a tornado.
You kind of skipped quite a bit there.
I'm following one line a line of one part of the film.
Okay.
So, and the reason why is because there's a separate story that intertwines with this one along the way. And there is the multiple fact that this chick keeps coming back from the dead to come after his goons and him.
That's what I'm saying. Like the thing that made all that possible was that she wanted revenge and went to a friend of hers to cast a spell.
Correct. Which is what I was going back to.
Okay.
Ultimately, after the first moment where she ended up having to kill her dude, a friend came along, offered her a way out, and also helped do a ceremony of some sort to help her enact her revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second second line of what's going on. There is and I'm not even sure if we know. Oh, we do know where it is. It's in Ohio. Is where this film is taking place. Somewhere in Ohio, there is a bar with a striptease a woman, and I actually happen to have this actress as a friend who's playing the other chick, Dylan Fawn Harvey. I know she's married to a circus performer, and
not this
whatnot.
circus.
No, not this circus. But in real life, she's married to a circus performer. But she is basically she's doing the Coyote Ugly thing at this bar. And apparently she's got fans, but there's this one creepy dude that seems to want to touch her, and a bouncer steps in, and another a guy who seems to be a truck driver of a sort with his stand-in black guy who is dressed like Elvis, and he calls him Elvis too. And he steps in as well. But then the Linnea Quigley shows up very shortly as the "I don't give a shit, you're fired if you're not dancing for me" kind of thing. And
Yeah, that was...
so she ends up quitting after the whole thing, because she wasn't understanding that the dude is just too much of a creep. That was stopped, and it seems like everyone that they meet along the way, including the sheriff that they run into, are all like, she fired you. You were like the only good thing there, But I'm trying to see what was her name there. Her name was Bambi. Bambi Fawn Taylor. And she ended up going along with the cowboy and Elvis, and right around that then is where we start to see the crime boss and his goons are traveling in storms, and it's becoming kind of a slasher movie with gore involved. Because apparently the crime boss is going after people who might know where Bambi is, because Bambi's on the run.
Now,
right?
Bambi is our stripper. The
Not Bambi.
Savannah, I think, was his.
That's right, Savannah. His love. Savannah Dane is her name, and she's played by Rachel Lagan, or Logan, or whatnot. And initially, after there is a moment where Ronnie, I believe that's the crime boss's name. Ronnie ends up taking and putting a bunch of balloons on Savannah and throwing darts at her. And
maybe I missed this, but did you make any reference to the fact that he runs a circus and that's what they're
Yeah, he runs a circus, most definitely, and he calls it the Midnight Circus or Midnight Circus of 20 like 20,000 or trying to think what the one guy says, but
You know what's weird is I always thought that the circus itself was interesting. I mean, you've
Yeah.
got the circus mafia that comes in, and then you've got them using the girl and kind of enslaving her temporarily for that. But then the circus itself just ends with the whole curse and these clowns. That's it, because the rest of the circus just kind of goes on. To my knowledge, I don't remember what happens to it.
well,
Does
yeah, it's like
disappear?
Well, I mean, it's kind of immaterial at a point because they're all off doing their own thing.
well, essentially they just become traveling serial killing clowns.
Right.
So I think that the storms they come in on, I think those are cool. With the lightning and the tornado-ness and all that jazz. So when they step out from that storm, each time that they do, I think those parts are cool. But and Todd Sheets is known to get a little bit Lovecraftian in his gore too. So when that chick ends up having the one trucker end up going like hugging him or whatnot, and then you see the titty teeth and the tongue that keeps licking him from her stomach. That's a little bit Lovecraftian. So I enjoyed that aspect of the gore. It's not that it was gore-y, it was more like it was more
It was
like
body horror, and that's something that I don't go for either. So it's like, ugh. I'm not a fan of that. But
well,
I will admit that female clown, except for that, like if her portrayal, that most of the clowns actually, and again, this is what I say, they had potential. I think most of the clowns were actually kind of interesting in their own ways. And she was one of the ones that I found slightly more entertaining than the others. That's, again, relatively speaking.
yeah, she was kind of like the Harley Quinn
a little
to his
bit.
Joker.
A little bit, yeah.
Yes.
And I will admit, and I am, of course, I'm drawing from the bottom of the barrel. He reminded me probably more of Jared Leto Joker than anything. But he did remind me a little bit of Joker that was one of the things I enjoyed about the character. But again, I'm thinking like bottom. This is like not even.
I'm hearing Inspector Gadget in his voice. So the main dude, Ronnie. I'm picturing Inspector Gadget going around and mutilating people in my mind because that's exactly what his voice sounds like to me.
Well, that might have been what entertained me because Inspector Gadget is a huge asshole too. So that's. He's not a sadistic creep, but he's an asshole. He's a misogynistic creep. So, yeah.
But yeah, I can see that. But
that was a show that I loved when I was a kid. But when I went back and tried to watch it, I'm like, this did not age well.
At least that cartoon did better than Matthew Broderick's version of him. So.
I will say, if nothing else, Inspector Gadget was one of the best themes that we've gotten from a TV show.
Yes.
But in any case, where are we? Okay, so I know I somewhat mentioned the bar scene with Bambi. What did y'all think about Linnea Quigley showing up and and the whole bar scene and the introduction of the somewhat cowboy and Elvis introduction and all that.
Well, they were introduced before that when he picked up Elvis, like he was hitchhiking. But yeah, that scene was good. I was honestly kind of let down that Linnea Quigley had such a brief role. I was kind of like, okay, well, that happened. Like it was kind of, it was like some of the, because Sharknado had so many cameos, some of them were duds. And honestly, it was like that. It was basically a dud cameo. It was like, okay, that happened.
Yeah, the only cameo in this to me that had like was a home run was Joel's cameo.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But I will admit the Bambi, she was kind of all right. She did a good job, with what she was given, and yeah.
Well, yeah, she was wrongfully fired, and after that, it became more of a "I want to get home to my kids" kind of thing.
Right.
Because but apparently she's got kids back at home, and so she initially asked the two guys if they could just take her home, but
Right.
they ran into some shenanigans along the way.
Shenanigans. Yep.
I would have to say that there was a trucker that apparently tried to save them, but then he told them a story about something dealing with somebody's mother, and
The
then
guy, the guy you're talking about was they ran into a teenage runaway at the diner that they were meeting at, and
yeah, that's another storyline that kind of interjects in between.
And she claimed that he was stalking her, and it turned out that he was her father, and he was just trying to make contact, like trying to look out for her. But yeah, he did come off as kind of creepy. I'll admit that.
It did.
Yeah.
It did at the moment. So we do have that, but then he's like he kind of does the Japanese thing and falls on his sword for them. No offense. And he jumps out of the car and pretty much gets mutilated by the one clown that seems to be the muscle of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to think what happens after, because I think they end up going to arriving at a house that has a party going on of some sort.
House with a party?
Or maybe just a house in general. They eventually arrive at after they've been waylaid by the clowns a little bit, because him jumping out of the car isn't the only moment where they come across the clowns. They come across the clowns initially.
The clowns attack them at the diner.
Yeah, they attack them at the diner, and then they scramble to get into the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come across two or three more clowns that are literally mutilating people in the road.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to stop it, and then the trucker that they come across, who happens to be the father of the hitchhiker, ends up coming along with them for just a little bit, and then a storm comes in, and the muscle clown ends up on top of the car. And then
you forgot about the storm chasers.
Yeah, the storm chasers.
I don't think we got to them yet, did we? Because they come up to the sheriff, and then they meet the storm chasers while they're talking to the sheriff.
The storm
Oh
chasers.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The storm chasers were the only part of this that kind of resembled Sharknado with their solution.
Yeah, that was a kind of a Sharknado-ish solution, I'll admit. And like I said, that one dude, I love that shirt he had. He's like, OMG, it's R2-D2. I loved him in Star Trek. And I love that because at work, in the break room, they'll put up random like questions or polls or whatever, just for fun, just for us to do when we're bored. And just a couple weeks ago, someone put up the Star Trek versus Star Wars. And that was the poll that we had going for a week or so. And just the timing of that, I thought that was kind of hilarious to me. But
The things that amuse us in
yes,
movies.
yes, I can be easily amused.
But anyways,
Yes.
so yeah, eventually they run into the sheriff, which apparently he's got kind of a, because they're trying to get back to her house, or what not to. The sheriff, well, he's kind of a fuddy-duddy kind of a sheriff. But he ultimately, he's there to share news. Apparently, and they go on where they meet the storm chasers, and the storm chasers. It's mildly amusing. The thing that they come up with, but their thing doesn't. That's when they get on this. Okay, do they even reach her children? I don't even think they reach where her kids
Not
are.
during the movie, I don't think. No. And was it children? I remember them saying she had a daughter, but whatever.
I thought it was her kids.
Right. It's like I said, I only heard one, but that's probably
I heard plural.
Yeah.
But
but did you want to talk about the solution that they had?
The solution was to ultimately, because in the car they're kind of doing this hot cold conversation.
Right.
I didn't entirely understand it, but they eventually came up with the idea that they need liquid nitrogen.
Well, the basic idea that intense weather like tornadoes tends to be a collision of different temperatures. And I guess the idea was that if you inject a strong enough cold to counteract the heat, it would cause the storm to break up. And you don't get a whole lot colder than liquid nitrogen, at least not in terms of something they'd have access to.
Well, yeah, and it just so happens that a friend of the one trucker guy, and I'm trying to remember the guy's name, because I know
Hawk.
Well, I know him. I'm thinking of Hunter. The guy playing Elvis's friend has a friend named Hawk that apparently he knows.
Well, he knew Hawk, who's the pilot, but I think it was the storm chaser whose friend had an ice cream shop, and that's why he had the nitrogen access. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's the ideas of the storm chasers combined with the help of Hawk that they ultimately eventually go to concoct this idea of piloting it into the storms.
I will have to say that I think the film's budget or lack thereof showed when they went to get the nitrogen. Did anyone else think it looked like they were just running through like a college dormitory or something in that whole sequence? Like I think they were technically supposed to be at like a strip mall or something. And like it did not look at all like that. It looked like they were in like a college dormitory or maybe a office building or something. It was
They
Yeah,
did look like it looked more like an office building, so it didn't look
yeah.
like a mall at all.
Yeah, no.
but you got to deal with the locations
Yeah. Yeah.
that you're given, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
I
the
was just going to
suspension of belief is the imagination that okay, they could entirely possibly be in your mind if you closed your eyes. The possibility of them being where they say they are.
a very, very, very much imagination there too. Um, I also like the hunter is referred to as a trucker, and he's just driving a big truck. Like usually you hear trucker, you think like a big rig. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like a Mack truck or
Right.
something like that, you know.
Right.
But oftentimes people who just drive trucker are okay. Or should I call him a redneck? I would a redneck trucker is what I would call him because he's a wannabe trucker or whatnot.
Yeah. Okay.
But in any case, ultimately, this is where my mind gets a little fuzzy about what exactly was happening. Because I've seen this movie twice, and it's all in fairness and honesty. Even though Joel Wynkoop's stuff was amazing. I still see. I'm trying to remember. Did it work? Did their theory work? I'm trying to remember. Yes,
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
it did ultimately work in the end.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that the one chick ended up being like the Terminator, just coming back alive. I swear to God, I was thinking Savannah Scissorhands for a moment.
Yeah, yeah, that was an interesting, and I use the term loosely. But I think also at this point, the female clown and one of the others had already been killed. They figured out pretty early on they could just shoot them, and yet somehow they didn't for most of them.
Well,
And
yeah, it
I
seems like they just kept running.
and I can't remember. It might have been Savannah that dispatched the. I can't remember who dispatched the female clown.
Oh, that was that was her.
That was her. Okay.
She rammed her whatever she made her arm into when she weaponized her arm
Yeah.
into that of a Borg's arm.
Well, they had removed her arm or the end of it, like her hand, and she just rammed a bunch of utensils into it. And I'm like, oh, that was so fun. But anyway,
Yeah,
and
she was like, "That'll do."
and weirdly enough, the girl clown after she died, they did this weird little alien thing where this little mini clown came out of her.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, as you do. Yeah.
Yeah, as if as if the girl clown had been pregnant with it all along, you know.
Yeah. I guess maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know.
But at the end of everything, thing, I'm trying to think what exactly happened to Ronnie.
Well, he got killed by Savannah.
That's what I thought.
She blew his head off, and the little mini clown got torn apart from limb by the three girls. And when they destroyed the tornado, I know Savannah killed Ronnie, and I think it was one of the others took out the big clown. Unless I miss my guess, one of them is unaccounted for. I have no memory of the other one getting killed.
I'm not sure. Maybe it was just killed in a blast or whatnot. But it's like they forget to account for all the clowns.
I think there were 3 left when they destroyed the tornado. And so I don't know if one of them supposedly fell to its death, or because you did see one of them falling, but I thought that was Ronnie, but I could have been wrong. And part of me thought that they did that on purpose so that they could do another one, that they left one unaccounted for, but I don't know. But,
and I do like the fact that Joel Wynkoop had like this like signature ending where he was like, I've got to go out and do stuff, you know. I got bills to pay.
Yeah.
So, and I do think that that it seems like Bambi ended up with the hunter at the end of everything, correct?
Yeah.
So, other than that, did anyone else have anything else to add to the whole thing? I mean, I remember Elvis when they got to
he dies.
Yeah, I know he dies.
Yeah. He sacrificed himself when they were trying to get out of that we'll say office building.
Yeah, he stood up to him or something like that on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that the clowns tried to grab him at one point in time, and he escaped from that one at one point. But other than that, I don't think there's really anything more that I can really say.
This could have been a better movie by many standards. I think that because you had some things that made it possible. Even the concept of a bunch of cursed clowns that are cursed to be able to become a tornado could be doable.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I think it was Mo who once said that so long that gore is what makes a good movie. So long as a movie is gory, it's a good movie. Which I disagree, because that would make this a good movie. But I think it's actually the over-the-top constant gore that was a cheapening of this film. Yeah. That they actually, I think it really cheapened out a little bit, that they tried to use that as the main attractor instead of, something better. I think it had a lot of potential. Like bringing in Hawk a little bit earlier. Maybe making the clowns, I mean, the only 2 clowns that had much of a personality were the lead clown and the female clown.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what they could have done is make them sort of a Larry, Moe, and Curly type thing. Let her be like all female clowns are always basically just one character over and over again.
I can tell they sort of tried in the initial beginning, because he did try to Ronnie did ask his clown group about everything that he was about to do, and they were like, I don't know, boss. But even that part was a little cartoony-ish. Like I was watching the enemy of Scrooge McDuck and his goons, where they would be like, I don't know, boss. You know.
I mean, maybe a little slapstick between them. Be actually funny clowns, but evil. You could make it because it sort of has a vibes where it's not it by any means. It's not Sharknado by any means, except for trying to kill it with cold. That's the only Sharknado-like thing in this film. I think that they could have, however, gone for Killer Clowns from Outer Space vibe because they were already closely there.
And I did get some minor vibes of that.
And the thing that makes that movie successful is that the clowns are scary, yes, they're disturbing, yes, but they're also funny.
Yeah.
At the same time, these clowns are not funny. They might as well just call it Mobsternado. There's a bunch of souped up mobsters that are killing people and laughing about it, or serial killer NATO, or what was the, those types of things. American Psycho NATO, I mean, I'm hoping that Cat NATO next week's will take that absurdity and do something fun with it.
Right.
In a way that actually doesn't go boring, because that's one of the risks that you do when you make movies like this, is that you end up running it to just run out the runtime. I mean, I know that with Amityville Webcam is a good example. I made that film, and I know that the runtime is one of the biggest barriers to it, because really and truly, if I had half that movie, it would probably be much tighter. But it wouldn't have been a movie at that point. It wouldn't have been a feature. So to run it out to the length of a feature movie, they had to do a lot of padding. And I don't know. It just needed probably some better writing. Really would have saved this, because they had a decent enough concept. I think if they had better writing, they didn't even need better effects. They had okay effects, but better writing.
Yeah, Todd Sheets has always had a good team of effects people. So I feel like I know he's done a lot better in many of the films that he did before. I even think that some of the films that he did around the time that he did these movies were better than this movie. There's a one called Dreaming Purple Neon that he did around that time. That one, I like that one.
And let's think about it when it comes to writing these. Is a lot of these movies are cash grabs, and they just have to be written out and spat out very quickly in order to try and cash in on the craze. Look at, I mean, Polonia is a good example of somebody who does that, and you can tell the difference between movies that he actually wants to make versus movies he's just kind of spitting out. Sharkula is Cocaine Shark is a good example. It wasn't even supposed to be named Cocaine Shark, but it was boring, and it was kind of lame overall. And why? Because it was a rushed product. It's just, I'm kind of working on this concept now. Okay, label it Cocaine Shark. Or, hey, we need to do a tornado movie now. Make Clownado. Okay. So I do think that when you've got somebody who's kind of rushed to put something out just to put it out.
Aren't you glad I did the NATOs first before I did the cocaine?
Well, I mean, I'll admit, if you did Cocaine Shark, I'd have probably sat that one out. That movie bored me to tears. So, that would be like, okay, I've already done my penance with Cocaine Shark. Never again.
But
though I would like to see Crackoon.
Cracknado?
I want to see Crackoon, which is that one that came out. Because it had good AI art. But in any case, I just wanted to say my piece of it. got stuck away and I wasn't able to get in on the conversation because of.
I still need to watch Raccoon. I've got my copy somewhere, and I know that eventually I will be getting a copy of the other movie that he was trying to get made at the time. It has something to do with Crocodile, I believe.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I've got Raccoon. I need to see that one, but yeah, but yeah, that even Cocaine Bear wasn't all that great a movie. You think about it.
It was disappointing.
Yeah.
It was a running gag.
Yeah, it was all right, but it was disappointing.
I haven't seen it. I still want to see it, but Tammy refuses.
But I still have high hopes for Catnado.
Yeah, even though somehow it has a lower ranking on IMDb, but you know.
Well, I mean, I know. But see, the difference is I already have low expectations,
Yeah,
so
And
maybe that'll help.
and I mean, again, you know, I guess we might be spoiling it.
It is on Tubi, by the way,
I
just
do
like this was.
I do love that IMDb just says it's like Sharknado but with cats. I'm like,
That was the laziest description I've ever heard.
I love it. It's so, you know, so
Bag.
the movie's not that lazy, but anyway.
Alrighty. Well, on that note, let's talk about production.
Okay.
I know we somewhat talked about it over time because, but Tammy, what were your thoughts about production?
I thought some of the effects were good, like the tornado, but the gory stuff wasn't that gory or that, I guess, that believable to me. Let's see. I think the makeup on the clowns was pretty decent. But that's about all I got for production.
Okay. How about you, Jake?
I'll agree. I think the makeup job on the clowns was pretty solid. And, you know, overall, they did an all right job with things like makeup and what have you. Like I said, some of the locations were a bit sketch. And overall, the effects, they were definitely not great. I'm not even sure I would say that I'm not sure I would agree they were better than the last couple Sharknado movies, but given the budget this film was no doubt going on, I think they probably did use a good chunk of the budget on the effects, and I think they were serviceable. I can't comment too much on the gore because I just straight didn't watch most of it. So, but what I did see was cheesy as hell. I'll admit that. Mostly, there were a couple of things I was like, eh. But yeah, overall, I mean, it was a decent micro budget film. I mean, in that regard, yeah.
Okay. Heading over to Brandon, what were your thoughts on production overall?
I mean, it didn't look too bad. I mean, the gore for what it was. I mean, I'm not one for gore in films, but I understand when the gore effects look decent enough to make it work, and I will give them that. The gore effects were pretty good, especially since that was one of the main draws of this film. If you love gore effects, if you're like Mo was on the original discussion that we had on Schlockaholics, I think that Mo would love this movie because the gore effects are pretty decent and pretty frequent. I did like the clown stuff. The tornado thing was decent enough. I think that the effects were, like I said, the effects were not the problem. The writing was the problem.
Okay. The music. Well, I'll get into the music in a moment. As far as production goes, I also think that the clown makeup was pretty good. Um, I've mentioned before that I like when the tornado happens or whatnot, the lightning and the effects of that look pretty cool. Um, I enjoyed the body horror esqueness of it. I thought. I mean, I've seen teeth before in some movies, but I haven't seen like a tongue like coming out of a stomach and licking people all too often. So I thought that was kind of unique, at least in the clown chick. And she was tasting everything when it came to some of the gore things that were happening when she was involved. So to me, that's why some of the gore was laughable because it was edible. So if you can see someone actually enjoying the practical effects of the gore, then it was made cheaply.
Maybe.
I mean, you could tell it was fucking grape jelly or something like that. But in any case, and I do give them credit for having one turn away scene of what I would call gore torture. If you're going for the gore effect, you have to have at least have one that you're going to make the audience look away. You know, that's the intent of gore. I wouldn't. You're right. This is kind of like torture porn in a sense, but it wasn't as bad as Saw. So,
Saw was much better made. I can't comment on the sequels because I won't watch them, but the first movie was well made.
yes, agreed. But in any case, believe it or not, Clownado actually has a theme song. I haven't listened to it. I probably will listen to it after the show just to hear what it sounded like. I'm sure it was either played in the very beginning or the very end, and there were two songs that were in this movie. I guess there was the theme song and then a song called "I Rocked the Night," which evidently it was written by SHCB or T Bedlam, same people who did the Clownado theme song, but then it was remixed by a DJ SP. That's all I can say about that because I don't know anything about any of those people. But did any of you guys notice the theme song at all?
This was a rare movie where I did not pay attention. Well, I mean, I do pay attention to the music. It did not leave an impression.
It didn't stick out to me at all.
Yeah. I have no memory of it at all.
Okay. I'm just seeing if there was actually anyone who actually did the soundtrack at all. Looking real quick. Composers. Okay, so Justin Burning, Matt Cannon, and Toshiyuki Hiroka, which... Okay. So Toshiyuki Hiroka is known for a few things. And I guess a lot of people have been using him for Joel used him in his Craiglon incident, High Fear, his 187 times the movie and the short film. Let's see, how far back does he go? Okay. So he first started composing music for the Necrophiles too.
Craiglon had a
movie.
decent soundtrack.
And he evidently has worked with Todd Sheets before and composed the music for one of his movies called Fear of the Dark. And and for House of Forbidden Secrets and High 8.
It is interesting.
Yes, it is. And Sleepless Nights. And I know that he's composed some stuff with one of the directors that I've somewhat backed on some of his films, Fiendish Fables, Frames of Fear, Wrestle Massacre. He did the composing stuff for that. That was one of the ones that I produced for him. Not Todd Sheets, but Brad Twigg.
Yeah, it's weird. Wrestle Massacre was one you were producing from the beginning of when we were starting out, and I have still yet to see that film. I haven't even. I still need to see it.
I liked it. It has a lot of wrestlers, ex-wrestlers in it. I wasn't able to get in on the second movie producer-wise, but I at least helped them with that one.
Actually, you want to know what's a funny story about that is I was drunk one night, which that never ends well. And I found a film and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the film Dave made. But I ended up watching Russell Massacre, not Wrestle Massacre.
Okay.
So, which Russell Massacre is a kid's film about a dog that goes into wrestling. So I actually watched that one instead, thinking I was watching the film you backed.
Yeah, I produced that one and Deathboard for Brad Twigg at one point in time. So those are the two that I produced behind him. But in any case, I believe we are now at favorite scenes and our favorite characters. And if you guys can think of a clown movie of any kind that you like, what would it be? So, let's start with you, Jake. Favorite scene and our did you have a favorite scene and our favorite character? And if there was a movie, it doesn't have to be the horror genre. It can be from anywhere, just so long as it has to do with clowns.
Favorite
Or the circus.
favorites. Favorites is such a strong word for this one. I guess maybe the first scene, or else the scene in the bar. Maybe not. Maybe that first scene, because I did think that they did a decent job of setting up a nice, cheesy, over-the-top kind of movie with gangster vibes, and of course that promise was squandered. But it did start off on a, I could watch this, and if it weren't for that, I who knows. Favorite character. I didn't have any strong favorites, but maybe Bambi might hold that. I will admit, like I said before, I thought Ronnie was actually kind of entertaining to watch. So maybe, even though he was a total scumbag, he might be favorite in terms of enjoyability of the scenes he's in, but I don't know. I don't know. And I'm sure everyone's going to say Hawk was their favorite. He certainly was high on the list. He deserves a shout out. And what was the last part?
If there was a TV show or movie that you liked that had to do with clowns
That had to do
or
with
the circus.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess it is the obvious choice. The miniseries is quite solid, and the movies were quite solid. The book is quite solid for the most part. But I'm trying to think if there's something less obvious. I'm tempted to just do a shout out. I'm just going just for shits and giggles. I'm going to do a shout out to Netflix's One Piece because it does feature Buggy in a prominent role in the first season, and that definitely brings in Clown. And I like that portrayal of the character, so we'll go with that.
Okay. Heading over to you, Tammy. Favorite scene or scenes and or favorite character. And I know you don't like clowns, but if there was a clown movie that you liked or TV show or anything to do with circus, what would it be?
Let's see. I really don't have anything that was a favorite for scene or character in this. Sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
And the only clown I like is Pennywise.
Original or remake?
Original, of course.
Of course.
Okay. Heading over to you, Brandon.
So my favorite scene, I guess, the introduction of the circus mafia. I don't know why, but that concept just cracked me up. My favorite character is definitely Hawk. I mean, yeah, no doubt. I have a few, though I'm not going to touch on the one that Dave will probably put up. So, I wanted to put forward Gags the Clown because it's an episode that we did, and it's one that people should look at. Actually is one that I want to watch again because I did think it was slightly creepy and I did really like it, which is something there.
And I thought that the director was actually going to be doing a sequel eventually, but
so
haven't heard news yet.
That was one. I wanted to put forward two more thoughts. All Hallows Eve. And the reason why I like both of those films, I like them because they're the ones that introduced Art the Clown, but it's a different Art the Clown than is in the movies he's known for. And I actually like this version of Art the Clown way better than the slasher version. I like the kind of supernatural version more than I do the Terrifier version. And then finally, just because it's one that most people probably don't even remember, the Carnival series. It's
and
one
that's one I was going to put forward. It's just it sucked that they ended it that way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is that they ended it too soon because it got canceled. Mm-hmm. So I think if they'd had one more season, it would have been a perfect series.
Yeah, I totally agree. But then I think they kind of almost did the same thing for American Horror Story Freak Show. The fourth season.
that would be a contender, yeah.
Well, actually, with American Horror Story, 90% of the times the ending of each season sucked.
That was the only season I watched, and I didn't get to see the ending. So
I've watched it all the way up until Hotel, and Hotel, I had a hard time getting past the first episode with the drill dildo. But yeah, as far as like the others, the problem with that particular series is, yeah, I mean, it is the fact that it is it has a hard time sticking the landing, because my favorite season in that season too, and it sticks the landing horribly in that one.
Well, I think my favorite season of American Horror Story was season 2 myself.
Which one was that one?
That one was the where they were in the psych ward.
Yeah, the
Psych
asylum.
Oh, Asylum.
And the
They
asylum.
introduced aliens at the end of it. It was just
Yeah.
like, what the heck?
I love that part.
I've been meaning to go back and check out that series generally. It looked like it had a lot of potential. It just, yeah.
I still have to pick up the last season, but I have every other season in that series.
Yeah, there's two series really. There's the original series that ended where the original creators wanted it to end, and that's the series that has the physical. And then there's the other series that continued on, but is the streaming only.
Oh,
I consider them two different series, though.
okay.
Yeah, they cross-streamed a few things with American Horror Story after a moment.
Streams.
Yeah, you never cross the streams.
I should throw out one more. I don't know. I was thinking too specifically clowns and circuses and stuff. But if you're just saying generally the clown characters that you enjoy in the clown movies that you like, I did already reference Joker, and after all, he is the clown prince of crime. So there are any number of things involving the Joker and or Harley Quinn that would qualify. And technically, Batman Returns, Penguin had he had circus.
Circus themed.
It was a whole circus theme going on, even though that's not normally associated with the Penguin. So there definitely are a lot of Batman adjacent ones that could be on that list.
Yeah, because even Robin in Batman, Batman and Robin had an initial.
Dick Grayson was a circus performer. You are correct. His whole family. Yep.
So, other than that, I guess my favorite scene or scenes, I do like the initial noir crime boss mafia thing in the very beginning, like you, Brandon. But I did like the body horror with the chick clown. That scene, for some odd reason, I liked it. Just was weird enough for me to remember. Oh, and I know you guys don't like gore, but when they were splitting that one lady in half,
there is nothing wrong with being a fan of gore and horror films. It's just not for everybody. It's just like there's no harm in people who really love.
In real life, I know it's wrong to like gore, but when it's done right, and it's done where you can in your mind's eye be scared of it, like there are moments where you cringe at those moments, and that's why I like watching horror movies. I like watching horror movies to have that moment to make me turn away, to have that a moment that could give me a nightmare. I don't know why, but I'm always on the lookout for a movie that will make me feel scared. And there are moments that I've gone through where the initial scene of it, makes me cringe. Like when the lightning struck the first time in War of the Worlds, the remake. The first time I saw that, I jumped. I like jump scares, but only if it's done right.
I think that a jump scare is useful, but only if it's built up well. I think people overuse jump scares as cheap tactics, but I do think that yes, a jump scare pays off well if the writer and the director build the tension to that fever pitch, because people like yourself, Dave, probably wouldn't even be flinching at most jump scares. But if they build a jump scare right, they might even be able to surprise you. And that's where I think that's where you get good writing and good timing. Good pacing is really important with that.
Well, timing and pacing.
My biggest problem with horror movies is the fact that a lot of them are scared to show the reality of what's going on. Like if a serial killer has killed, why don't they show the acting of it? But then again, I know there are people who are pussyfooted and get scared of those moments.
Well, and again, I would very emphatically say it is not only that causes that choice to be made. You will have people who simply have no interest in going there.
Yeah.
You'll have people who think it's an artistic, and I will say it can be a very effective artistic choice, as we've said before. Like sometimes it's more effective to not show it.
Oh,
it's never effective for me. So.
Sometimes our imaginations can do better, because I would rather if the director is going to do a crappy job of it, why not just not show it at all? Because that way, at least what you imagine is probably much better than what they put together.
Yeah,
and that's so it can go both ways.
Yeah,
I mean, there is something about our imaginations. If a person does it well, your own imagination fills it in and makes it much creepier than it could be if they showed it sometimes, especially with micro budget features. I mean, for instance, I am terrible with stuff because I don't have very good effects artists. So I can tell you right now, anything that I could hint to would be much better than anything I could show.
Yeah, budgetary constraints, that is an important consideration, but yeah.
Well, and the only other clown movie that I know we've mentioned already in similarity is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That is my number one movie that I always go back to. Always seems to be the high on my list because it is the triple threat of all movies. Scott.
That's why I never mentioned it. I wasn't going to take that from you, Dave.
It's got science fiction, comedy, and horror. I mean, what more can you ask? I mean, not a whole lot of movies have that kind of triple threat on them, and to me, that's the movie that trumps all clown movies.
Yep.
The next one that I would probably put out there is Clown. Eli Roth's Clown. That one was actually not too bad.
See, my wife hates clown movies, so the likelihood that I'll ever actually watch one with her is low unless I surprise her with it, and then she'll hate me for the rest of the night.
Well, I will never forget the fact that you tricked her into watching Halo.
Well, I didn't trick her into it because I didn't know what I was getting into either. She constantly blames me for that, but I really didn't know what I was getting into. If I'd known what it was about, I probably would have sat it out too. No, that's not true. I would have watched it once, but I wouldn't have included her in that. I would have just watched it myself. And I didn't lie. It was a horror movie. It was horror. There is no doubt. That is a horrific movie. It was one of the most disturbing movies I have ever seen, and I have seen some disturbing crap.
But at the end of everything, hopefully you ladies and gentlemen have enjoyed our discussion on this film. Hopefully we kept it light, even though it went darker than any of the Sharknadoes we've ever watched. So the thing is, this was a movie that was made in the wake of the Sharknado movies, and unfortunately, as the budget went out of the Sharknado movies, it continued to roll with the dice with anything that was made in its image.
Well, I have to give it this. Catnado, I doubt, is any darker than this. That could surprise me. My favorite Amityville film so far is Amityville Cute Farting Cat. So, we'll see.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully if you haven't seen this movie, see it. Right now it's on Tubi. You can see it for free. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the movie, what you thought of our discussion, and hopefully we'll see you commenting on the film or our discussion sometime soon. But if you want to follow us, we'll be doing one more NATO movie just for shits and giggles next week, and hopefully it's better than this one.
Yeah.
In any case, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Everyone say good night.
Good night. And hopefully I'll talk with you, Dave, and you, Jacob.
Good night.
Real quick after.
Sure.
Night.
Inside movies galore, just makes you just want more. We've had all in the world of media to explore. Horror, anime, or Curious George. Our love of new things was our reward. It is the best night of our week.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.